So, welcome to yet another episode of the People, Passion, and Purpose podcast with Ungi. It's a long time since the last episode was aired. So, I've been waiting for the right person to come along, and I met Unnathi in another networking conversation, and we've had we've met quite often in the last 1 to 2 weeks, and I thought it's an interesting space to bring her together. So we've all heard of employee experience and customer experience. So she's the customer experience expert with her own venture called Udefine. And the moment I saw it, I thought, it is a very interesting aspect to bring it to this space and get to know about Unnathi, the person, and not just Udefine, the space. So welcome, Unnathi, to this space of the People, Passion, and Purpose podcast. I
Hi, Sunil.
understand this is your first podcast, so how are you feeling?
Hi, Sunil. Thank you so much. I think pretty much excited. Well, everybody has only been questioning about my professional life and what have I done and all of that. But I'm more excited to kind of share my story my way, and looking forward for it. Pretty excited.
Oh yeah, very interestingly, you said your story your way, so you are defining your story here with us on this podcast. And so my first question is, what's your favorite memory about growing up? Uh, I'm assuming you grew up in Hyderabad and then came towards Bangalore. So what's your favorite memory of growing up?
Well, Hyderabad is a city of Nawabs, and my upbringing was there for almost 21 years. A lovely childhood, I must say, and my parents were very progressive, a very outspoken family. So we always were in midst of meeting people, calling them over for festivals and parties. So that's where I grew up, and I think it's an amazing childhood that I had.
You will have to let us know a little bit saying when you say amazing, what does it work?
Okay. Well, my dad was a lot into trekking and he used to have his walking friends and all of that. So we always had guests coming over home and we were hosting, parties, breakfast, lunch, dinners, and full of life. I would say the memories that I always had with my parents or my siblings, we going for movies. It was just a very impromptu plan, and we would wrap up dinner and just go watch a movie. And Sunday comes, it would just be a long drive in one of our cute little Fiat cars, the old model that we had. And we would just go. I mean, we namamma idu chitrana mosrana ankondo, she used to pack everything and bunch of kids and cousins, and we would just go on for these long drives, take all the badminton rackets, and just do a picnic and come back. I mean, it was that simple. We were only surrounded by people rather than gadgets. That was a beautiful moment of my years. Yeah.
I think that is a very interesting statement in terms of people versus gadgets. And I know my mom used to share similar stories in terms of impromptu this thing. So they had a Sunday ritual. So every Sunday they had to visit a theater, look at a movie, come back, have lunch at a new restaurant every time, come back home, and I think my grandpa had this ritual of 4 o'clock or 5 o'clock, some radio, Ceylon radio or something that used to come. They used to enjoy that, and the weekend used to get done with it. And I remember my childhood. I think I spent it only on the road, always playing, forever playing
Hmm.
cricket, something or the other. So when you look at gadgets, do you feel that the young kids today are missing out?
Absolutely. I have my little one. He's already a YouTuber. He's got his own channel. He plays with his friends online. I mean, like, what an irony. I mean, it's so sad that when I ask him that, don't you want to step out? And he gives me these reasons, I don't have anybody here. So he plays the emotional side of it. And
Emotional card, yeah.
yeah, emotional side of it. But yes, very unfortunate that kids, I mean, probably it's because the area and apartments have a lot more, things to play and all of that. But yeah, I do kind of miss him missing out on that childhood space.
What's your what's your most favorite food item that you at any point of time can just go and like have that at all points of time?
Pani puri. I love eating pani puri and I'm like a freak. I don't mind competing also with friends any day, anytime. It's always in for me. Yeah.
So, anybody listening, if you want to challenge Unnati on how many pani puris you can eat, is there a record that we have to break saying this is the highest that
Oh.
you consume?
There has never been a competition as such, but I think at one go I ended up eating 50. That
Not bad.
was about 20 years back. But even today, if you ask me, I would love to. I mean, especially on on the street side, and then we say, Bhaiya aur thoda pani dalo, put a
और
little bit of
पानी डालो सूखा में ये नहीं.
sukha. Yeah, yeah, right.
And and it was very surprising because the Kannada that you speak is so fluent, so easy, so very natural Kannada that you're speaking. And well, yesterday when we met, you said no, no, you've had struggles with getting to understand Kannada and speak it. So what's the secret to learning Kannada and acing it?
Okay. There was a point in time that I used to be bullied by my own cousins, where that I don't know how to speak Kannada when I used to come to Bangalore for a holiday. Eventually, I married in Bangalore to my husband, and that was the days when we used to have T.N. Sitaram series, Mukta, 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 and Maya Muruga and all of that. So literally, my Kannada started by watching those serials, and I made an effort to make it a language at home, speaking at home, and that's when spashtavada kannadana kaltkonde. So that is something which I can say. And today people are surprised. They say, oh my god, is that really you that was speaking such a beautiful language? So yes, go for it.
So, is there anything else that is interesting about your life experience and life journey that you want to share to an audience and possibly, inspire them or initiate them into some new practice?
Well, I would say I've always believed in this tagline called "Age is just a number." I'm sure there are a lot of people who use it, but eventually, I mean, mine was a very not a very conventional way of settling in life. Sometimes you do have unpredictable incidences that lead to something else. I was this very tomboy and this go-getter kind of a person in college, and I have very aspirate. I mean, I had a lot of aspirations. I said, okay, this is what I want to do. I want to do my MBA, then settle and all of that. But I married pretty early due to different reasons, and I was only 21. I graduated, and family was on the way, blessed with two children. And then I said, okay, now what? I'm done, and I really need to kind of get back to my way of approach with life. And that's when I started working. I had people who had already reached to that mid-level managerial positions, who passed out with me, did their masters and post-graduation. I was like, I would say like the rabbit and tortoise, the race. That's something which I compare myself, and I'm definitely the tortoise. I took it slow, easy, never was shy away from, the sarcasm or the comments that I used to receive. And I just took it my way and with the flow. And I think it's a beautiful journey. I did my MBA last year. I feel very proud to have that added feather on my cap. And I think that's brilliant. I mean, life is all about just taking it with that flow, and don't restrict yourself. I mean, it's only you who can bring in that change. Nobody else can do anything for you.
Absolutely.
So that's about my life. Yeah.
Oh, amazing, amazing. So age is just a number. So I keep telling people, I don't know if I've told you this. So I can be 5 years, 50 years, and 500 years in the same conversation. So age is just a number at all points of time. And yeah, so life doesn't look at age. And I also saw that in your LinkedIn that you've been featured as somebody who's been breaking barriers and in a project that amplifies some of the stories there is. So, is there a space where you want to tell or share your experience as to how it was in terms of breaking some of these barriers and getting back to work and say redefining what is you defined?
Great. I think that's a very nice question, Sunil. I started off pretty late. I had comments like, "How are you going to, move out into that outside world, and you've not left home? You've how are the kids going to be managed and all of that?" But I somewhere had a very, an intuition, a sixth sense that things will go well. Very positive, always self-motivator, and definitely a wonderful support by my husband, and that's all you need. So I did have that fear, and I said, okay, how am I going to match up? But I think it just was flawless. Every company that I worked, I was this very go-to and loved person, probably because of the age, a little more of maturity, and things to be handled in a certain way. And I was always fond of people. I always loved interacting with people. So I was very happy very excited. I had become this kid on the block. So I had, started talking to people at 24 to 28 age group, though I was much elder to them by a generation. But I think it was fun. So it's all about kind of getting accustomed to where you kind of be yourself. Yeah.
Wow. So being accustomed to being yourself. So, uh, who are you? If I have to ask you to introduce yourself, I'm asking this question a little late into the podcast. But if I have to ask you, how do you introduce yourself to a stranger? Yeah, how would you do that? So, who am
More
I
onto
meeting when
the
I'm meeting Unnati?
Oh, okay. So this is on a personal front or a professional way? I mean, like, what is it then?
I am a stranger. I am meeting you for the first time.
Okay. So I'll say, hi, Sunil, the Unnati here, and how are you doing? And I'm from Bangalore, and I thought I would like to connect with you and understand more about what you do. Sounds very interesting that you meet so many people, conducting podcasts. So it must be very exciting to know people about. So let's catch up soon.
Well, that's interesting in a way in terms of how you're connecting with the other side in terms of knowing this thing. So if I have to, flip that question and say, "Hi, Unnathi, I saw your LinkedIn profile. Looks very interesting. But I'd like to know, five things about you that possibly that's not there on your LinkedIn profile." So what would be your answer to that? Now
Okay.
I have answers. I have 200 things I can tell, but I am asking only five.
Right. So I say that I love listening to music. Somebody who doesn't know, I mean, who knows me from my childhood, yes, but I listen to a lot of rock music. My bands are from the 80s and 90s. I read a lot of autobiographies, and I'm very fond of animals, especially dogs, because I already have one at home. And my favorite pastime is that I do reels with my daughter. So
Oh,
we have a lot of, I mean, here and there, but I do try to kind of take that step and try to kind of follow that pace. So yeah, so that's about it, and I love eating. So that's something which I like to do.
wow. That is fascinating. So reels with your data, that looks very interesting. So your son is a YouTuber. You do reels with your daughter. So I think we've sort of covered the entire family except your husband. So you know that is how it is. So any tidbits about him would also be interesting in terms of, you said he's a very big support for you in terms of getting your career up and running. And now that you've become an entrepreneur yourself, so what's been mutual roles that you've exchanged, and how have you helped him? He helped you.
Right. He's a lawyer by profession. The first time I heard about him, I obviously didn't have. I always had these movie lawyers coming into my, sight of it. And but when I met him for the first time, I was awestruck, and a perfect, what do you say, a balance of being that couple. So we are like in partnership 50-50. So whether it comes to your household work, he's a very spiritual, and he loves to kind of engross himself into these areas, and I'm more into cooking and all of that. So we split our responsibilities very equally, and he doesn't shy away from the fact that he feels proud of what I am today, of being very bold and outreaching, and trying to be the self discoverer. That's something which he says. And he's always been saying this, that I'm a go-getter. ಲೈಕ್ ಏನೇ ನಾನು ಅದು ಒಂದು ಮನ್ಸಲ್ಲಿ ನಾನು ಇದು ಮಾಡ್ಬಿಟ್ರೆ ಅದು ಸಾಥ್ ತೋರಿಸ್ತೀನಿ ಅಂತ. ಸೊ ಅದೊಂದು ಪಾಸಿಟಿವ್ ವೇನಲ್ಲಿ ಹೀಸ್ ಆಲ್ವೇಸ್ ಬೀನ್ ಸಪೋರ್ಟಿವ್. ಅಂಡ್ ಮನೆಯಲ್ಲೂ ಅಷ್ಟೇ, he's definitely not that okay, I'm a man and I'm supposed to do this, I'm not supposed to do this work. Equally contributing, and I'm just lucky to have him as my partner.
Wow, wow, wow. So now I had this as a perfect segue to, looking at, marrying the space of customer engagement into brands. So that was my segue question, but I also got, many other questions, but I'll stay with that question in terms of this. How do you marry, say, customer experience and say, a brand building space, which you are the expert. So just wanted to touch upon that, and possibly the follow-up question is because you said go-getter, and you are a positive person. So the second question I'd want you to address is, what's your secret to happiness?
Oh, lovely. So when you speak about brand and customer experience, I think they just can't stay without each other. That's why you have the word marriage, right? So it's complementing, right? If you deliver exceptionally, you take care of your customers and take care of them as your own, emotional bond or connects or family, whatever. Those are the words that you can put in. Your brand automatically brings in that value proposition into the into the system. Today, if you ask me, let's take an example. Why would I choose an Amazon over any other e-commerce platform? Probably because I've been taken care of. I've had issues in between, but their customer experience is fabulous. I mean, irrespective of whatever it is, they come back to you, connect, and they find out whether everything is, worked out smoothly, and they close that loop. So your brand building starts from there, right? How are you actively listening to your customers? How are you even, do you even really care when they give you a feedback? Are you acting upon it? So it's obviously, interrelated, right? And I've had very challenging roles. The most challenging part is the hesitation to build upon some kind of a feedback from the customer, right? They'll say, okay, can we do this? Are we allowed to do this? They speak more onto the transactional side of it, right? Money investment and all of that. But a crucial role, I think, customer experience is I would say it is your go-to mantra for your brand success. That's it. No second thought about it. The greater the experience you give, the more value addition that you can. All these discounts, offers, yes, I agree. They're all transactional. But what are you doing to give that experience to your customers? Right. And to the second question, I think happiness is everywhere. Like, I like to get dressed when I'm not in a great mood. That cheers me up. Self-love is something which I always believe in. I make good food, or I ask my husband to cook something really nice because he's also a great cook. And I watch movies. I mean, anything. For me, I don't need somebody else to come and make me happy. So I look for ways, and that's what brings on to a smile. I mean, you watch some nice movies, listen to great music, eat, maybe just go for a drive and come. That's all. So that's the secret of my happiness. Yeah.
Because I think I'll stay on the customer experience bit, because the first time I spoke to you, said if there are organizations with bad reviews, send them to me. I think that was your one liner, saying, hey, this is what I work with. I have worked with organizations before, teams before, and say aspects of the front ending space, right? So there's always a hesitancy around even accepting of a possibly not so positive remark. What do you do when you're addressing something like that?
So first and foremost, let me talk about my past experiences, right? There was this very offensive mode, like, oh my God, how did the customer talk about this? And why are they putting things on social media and what is the team doing internally? So I had to bring in the awareness of what's happening at the back end. Most of the times, these confusions happens because of people working in silos. You don't have a connect because internally we are customers to each other as employees, right? So for that product to be or a service to be done for a customer, you need that collaboration and make sure that your coordination is intact. So when I would bring in these examples, I would my time would go spending in talking to people, talking to customers, and really understanding what their core issue is. I've had speaking to customers for hours together at a stretch, right? And it's very sad that, the basic things of, not being responding, probably responding to a phone call or addressing their issue and closing that loop, all these things were missing. So everything was in the air. And when I would bring in insights, I used to give these reports to the leadership saying that, okay, these are your top 5 problems this month. Let's kind of take it off by putting in training process. There would be a lot of process and loopholes at the back end. And why does a customer go and comment on social media? I mean, probably because things have not been handled pretty well at the back end. So these things kind of, I would prove to a certain point. And married to a lawyer, but I was also a customer's advocate. So I would put my foot down, irrespective of leadership, CEO, whoever it is. I said, boss, your brand is at stake. If you want these customers to be, onto a promoter side, we have to fix these things. So definitely, I did have support wherever I've worked. So that was the excellent way of putting it across. So I think you need to give them that awareness of why is it happening and where can we kind of fix things. That the intent should be right.
Absolutely. Yeah. So a lot of things that I have noted it down. One of the most favorite lines I had is, "We are customers to each other." And me being a coach had to jump in and say, how does customer experience? What parallels of life have you seen with a customer experience? So maybe zooming out of customer experience into life. Where do you think all of these aspects of me being customer to everybody else, that sort of a mindset or an attitude, can help us?
Let's take personal examples. We are all customers, even internally, right? Your relatives, friends. Who is a customer at the end of the day? A human. It's not alien from Mars, right? You're dealing with a human, and you deal with people every day, in and out. 5 people in the family will have 5 different opinions, perceptions. So you need to bring in that thought process. At its core, customer experience is all about connecting and building those relationships. It's as simple as that. The day we realize this, everything becomes easier. Then there is no ego, there is no blame game. I did this, you said that. All that will not, be there. So at its core, I think it's more of trying to, make that other person feel good. Just give you a very small example. My kids back home they have their exams. They're also foodies like me, and I love to cook something very nice, or maybe I might end up ordering something very nice. They're surprised. I'm surprised, and I'm giving them an experience. So it's not something related to like, okay, I'm an employee, you're a customer, but it's more of relationships. How do you want to make that other person feel welcomed, warm, and you're empathizing, you're listening to them. So that's all about it.
Very interesting. So listening to them, how do you make them feel heard, listened to, all that? Fantastic. So I think a very, very podcasting question. So how do you explain customer experience to a 10-year-old?
To a 10-year-old. Wow. Okay. If I had to talk to my son, he already knows what I do. He, in fact, helps me with the editing part of my reels. So he was this one statement, that one liner he gave to me was, I am a customer experience consultant. Of course, I'm on the phone all day. He said that to me. So I was a little amazed and shocked, and I said, no, customer experience. So if it is for a 10-year-old, I'll say to look after people, to take care of them when you're in need. When you need me, I'm there for you. So that's how I'll explain it to a 10-year-old.
Fascinating, fascinating. So another, like clickbait question is AI going to take over, the entire experience aspect of it, or what's your thoughts on it?
Personally, I'm not very too much towards the AI because I feel that there is always a lack of human touch. How much ever you try to personalize those questions, you still know that it's a chatbot, or it's an AI who's responding to you. And if I'm reaching out to somebody from Amazon or maybe some other Swiggy, Zomato, I would personally say that I need an agent calling me. So it's again everybody's different perceptions. A lot of AI technologies, everything coming into the Zoom right now. But I personally feel that human touch should always be there, and that shouldn't be disconnected from customer experience part of it.
Yeah, I think that is true. So even I tell people saying, that human aspect is always going to be a space. So like my friends often tell me saying, "Hey, I can write a poem using AI. You will soon get replaced from this space." But I keep telling them the experience of actually writing a poem is unparalleled, which you will
Absolutely.
never get because AI is doing it for you. So sitting down on a beach, the waves slowly coming by, and the breeze coming by. So if you tell AI to do it, AI will do a fantastic job. No doubt about it. But your feel as to who you are, uh, that can only be expressed by you. So that can never be replaced by AI.
Like I've
So
had experiences where customers have been so frustrated, venting out, crying, anger, and abusive. I've just stood in front of them, and for me, it's action oriented. Though I'm listening, I'm kind to empathize them, and I'm saying, "Hey, don't worry, I'm here. I will fix things for you, and let's kind of come through this together." And that happiness on their face after the issue would get resolved. Trust me, the transaction ticket size would be more than like 6 to 8 lakhs. I mean, I wouldn't even imagine somebody going through that, right? So that happiness that they would come back to me, inviting me for their personal functions, and in fact, all those customers who were traumatized for whatever reasons, they are all my good friends right now. They're all in touch. They always remember me for what has happened. But again, all you said, it's time heals a lot of things, right? So it's all about that warmth and affection that you have towards people to take care of this.
amazing, amazing. So I have another possible interesting question. I don't know. You'll have to say whether it is interesting or not. So if you were to become a character in any of the Indian epics, who would you be?
Wow. I can pick, like, I wouldn't even, maybe I would, Mahabharata, Ramayana, I mean, any character that you would want me to think of.
Yeah, you are free. You can go even Jataka tales also.
Okay. Um, I think I think I'm a little lost right now. This I think I'm going to kind of rethink, and I'm going to get back to you on this answer. It's something
So,
that I really need to think through.
yes, yes, yes. So that is the work of a coach. No? You make them pause and make them think. So on the same segue into what makes you pause?
I'm sorry.
What makes you pause as a person, or possibly in terms of your work? Because I saw there's a lot of work, there's a lot of conversations, there's a lot of work. But what makes Unnati say, like, hold on?
Okay. Something which probably just comes as a sudden, um, very unpredictable scenario. Like it could be anything. Somebody just comes and says something, and I'm like, okay, hold on. Like, what did you just say again? Like, can you just repeat it again? A lot of times our minds are not, we are kind of thinking on a lot of things you don't pay attention to. So when that person is a little kind of stressing on certain things and asks me something, I just take a pause. So I believe you do not react, but you should pause to respond, not to react. So that's something which I would say is my way. Yeah.
So, to which branch will you tell this to? Say, pause, don't react, but respond.
Somebody, if the other person is kind of being very arguing with me, or maybe raising their voice, I kind of stay away from these kind of people. Criticism also kind of makes me take a pause. I can't take sarcastic comments and criticism in a negative way. I'm not that much of a person that I will just shy away and say, okay, fine, let that person talk, whatever. But I do pay attention to what that other person is speaking. So yeah, that kind of makes me a little annoyed.
So, what's the most interesting conversation you've had with a customer without naming them, without any details? What's the most interesting conversation, and what made it interesting?
To begin with, I wouldn't say it was interesting, but definitely that she had her own struggles in her personal life. And the project was in a very bad shape. She was a single mother, and she was going through a lot emotionally. I had, people to look after in the house also. What always used to inspire me to talk to her was the journey that she has come out through. So whenever we would talk, first is she would start with one high pitch and she would say, Unnati, this is not happening, and we're not able to. So whenever, and I would never not pick her call unless and until I'm in a meeting, or maybe if it is at 10 in the night or something like that, I would politely text back saying, may I call you back? I'm in the middle of something. That's the basic things that you need. So whenever I would speak to her, we would start off with the dissatisfaction that she had with her project and the way of work that was going on. And then slowly, when she would calm down and come to one pace, her tone and all of that, then I would talk to her about, what's happening with her workspace and how are things going on at her personal front. And then we would exchange recipes of cooking and things like, because I'm a South Indian and she's from North. So this was the kind of bond that we built up. And trust me, even though at a later stage there were major flaws and issues, she would not react the way she was reacting earlier,
Mm.
because she would just tag me and say, there is this problem that has happened, can you look into it? So it's the trust and the credibility that you create around that person, and say that, okay, I can rely on Unnati now, and she's going to take care of things. So that's how you kind of, that was a very interesting experience that I had. I'm very fortunate enough that she's still in touch with me. Her family, everybody are doing very well. She's doing fantastic, and it's nice to have to be in touch with her all the time.
Oh, so I'm sure you've enabled and touched and helped people and their brands basically survive in this very strange and competitive market. So you never know what the next viral trend is going to take you into.
Yeah.
How do you stay classic in a viral world?
Just be myself. I don't pretend. I don't butter people. I don't have an inferiority complex. Whether they're thin, good looking, intellectual, emotional. No. Unnati is the way she is, and I carry myself. I have, what is this thing? The latest, the swag that I carry around is just me. It's just being myself. I don't want to change for somebody else. That's me, the affectionate, warm, and loving and caring Unnati. Yeah.
Wow. So I think we've almost reached the overall curtain down moment for this podcast. But I think we've not yet touched upon you defined. And the moment I saw it, I thought it was undefined. And I said,
Oh.
oh, this is not the end, is not there. There's a space between you and defined. So what's the story behind you defined?
Okay. The day so last year I completed my MBA. I mean, it was like, a lovely insight, and a great, a proud feeling, I would say. I turned 40 last year. So to celebrate the milestone of my life, I traveled to London. I did a solo trip. Imagine me going to a solo trip, first time international travel, and I just went. I went to London. I stayed at my brother's place, but I just went over everywhere. Um, it gave a lot of clarity for me to, okay, now what? I've had people talking to me, and okay, maybe, I'm just job. I don't have a job right now, and I will be given any role, any salary, and I'll just do it because I need to be occupied. So I didn't want that kind of an attitude, and so for me to start You Define was like, I come from a very strong passion for customer experience, and the brand, it's a need of the hour. every organization, startup, well established organizations, they do need this. I mean, especially startups who are kind of trying to scale, they need to see where they are, stuck. So you defined as something where I'm that bridge, where I align customer experience versus the brand experience, and obviously trying to give them a mirror, a reality, saying that these are the things that you need to improve. So you elevate, you evolve, and you excel. And it's a cycle. It doesn't stop with that. It just goes. So you always take that U-turn. I mean, you always come back to your roots. You say this is what it is. And U is also for Unnati. My name means progress. So you're defined. So U is also YOU and you're defined. So that's where you defined came in from.
Very, very interesting space. So I guessed you for Unnati, and that was the space, and also the U-turn space. I think I hadn't thought of U-turn. So
Okay. Always
very
good
interesting
to
space.
reflect back. You should, if you only talking about what the issue is, like for example, there is this customer who gave us a 10 on 10 as a net promoter score. That's your measuring tool. Very happy, and he's going to recommend to his family and friends. The same customer is again spitting on you on social media, and you're lost. You're confused. So when you actually go into the nitty-gritties, details, so that why is very important. So that is where you need to kind of reflect. That's something about it.
So is there a closing statement that you would like to close this session with? So it's your first podcast. Congratulations on your first podcast. I am sure there will be many more podcasts to come from your end.
Thank you.
And we can always do more and more episodes. The more interesting tidbits I know about you, the easier it is to get into this space. I am really interested in the reels that you do with your daughter.
Great.
How does it work? So,
I
any
will
closing
share them.
statements, Unnathi? Yeah.
Well, Sunil, firstly, thank you. I think when I spoke to you yesterday, I heard you saying that everybody needs that coach or that mentor in life. Like you have a Virat Kohli, he has a coach. Coach is the one who gives you the direction. I mean, who's just giving you that path. What you do about this is something that you decide. So it's a self-reflection again. So definitely, in the near future, I'm not sure when, but it's lovely meeting you, and I would definitely like to go I'll be the flag bearer saying that, okay, connect with Sunil for sure. And that's something which I look forward to. And podcast has been something which I really always wanted to kind of be a part of. I've seen so many podcasts, very interesting conversations. And the beauty about today's podcast is that you wanted to bring in the me in the podcast, right? It was all about
Yeah.
me. It was whether it's your professional life, whether it's your personal life, it's just about you and only you, nobody else. Like there's no other third person. So thank you for that. I'm pretty much obliged. And to close with, by the way, I forgot to tell you the character that I can relate to. That's something which I was, back of the mind thinking. I would call myself as Karna
Hmm. Very interesting.
because I am this very selfless, over the board, goes out of the way to do things for people. I'm never calculating or quantifying or, trying to say that, okay, I did this much, you come and do this for me. So I'm very selflessly wanting to help people, always there in need. Though I would say that it's a weakness because I've had incidences where it has been onto the other side round, and I always keep being telling people are tired, especially my closed one says that you always want to do and you do this, what's it in for you, is it तुम्हें ये क्या फायदा हो रहा है like करके, why do you want to even get into all of these things? But I guess it's the nature, that's what I am. I'm always willing to help, like I'm always there for that other person. So yeah, Karna would be the character. And thanks for making me reflect back. It gave a lot of thinking process now. So it's beautiful.
Absolutely, absolutely. So that's what coaches do. So, in terms of being this whole space of guiding light and all that. So, in a dark room, we are the light. So, what you see is up to you. But what we do through coaching is we help you switch on that light. And once that light is there, once for progress to happen, you need to see where you are and where you want to be. So that's what we do with coaching. And fantastic for sharing all of your thoughts, all of your experiences. And I'm sure you've gone through memory lane, came back, and you've had a great experience in terms of this podcast. So it's a tick on my net promoter score. That is a good experience.
Lovely. I think to close with, Sunil, I would say lead with grace and grit and be the best version of yourself.
Wow. Lead with grace and grit. Absolutely. Beautiful, beautiful expression of thought process. I think when I do see you, I think those two aspects of life very, very clearly comes across the whole grace, grit. And possibly if you put another G, I think it'll hit the right resonance somewhere. But thank you once again for this wonderful timeline. Officially, we can pass this podcast. All points of time, you're always welcome. Possibly bring in new people and share. This is Sunil's podcast. Just jump on in. He's going to take you through. And also on is one of the, I think, the 73 or 74 episodes of
Ah,
unplanned podcasts. So most of the podcasts have been planned. None of the
amazing.
questions have been planned. Everything emerges in the moment. So thank you for coming along, and most definitely all the best for all your
Thank you
ventures.
so
You
much. Thank you,
take
Sunil.
care.